June 6, 7, and 8, so welcome Chinese Gaokao season. There may be a few things that you didn't know about Gaokao. And Gaokao is like the Chinese national examination for university admissions. And it happens every year in the same 2 days across the whole country. About 13 million students sit down to do the Gaokao every single year. And this one exam is the exam that changes their whole destiny. This kind of decides their trajectory in life, where they're going to go, what they're going to do. And since its reintroduction in 1977, I have to say, this has become the most important day in Chinese history, because this is the day when not only that person's destiny gets decided, also the country's fate gets decided. In 1977, Deng Xiaoping gave China back its future. Gaokao doesn't really care who you are, whether your parents have a famous surname, whether you have donated a building to the university campus, whether your extracurricular activities are above and beyond. For Gaokao, this doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is the way you pass this exam, the way you comes out, that's deciding where you're going to go. Top score, you go to Beijing and Tsinghua universities like Harvard and MIT of China. And you go below that, you don't get enough score, then, well, your expectations for life kind of gets adjusted according to that as well. In my country, we have a saying, it takes a whole village to raise a child. And in China, this is nothing less short than true. And when it comes to Gaokao, that is a family project. The grandparents move in to cook. The parents take off days unpaid leave just to be with the children just before it comes. The teachers spends weekends and weekends through the years trying to prepare children for this specific day, because it is very hard to explain to somebody who is not in China how important and how deeply ingrained this is for the success in the future. So when the number comes back, it is not just the score for that single individual, that is the score for the whole family, for the whole village who has put their backs and helped that child get to the point where they are. It is a tremendous amount of pressure both on the child who is taking the exam, on the parents and the family throughout the years. So that's why it is really, really important that everything goes well. I have to tell you that this exam thing did not start in 1977. It actually started, I would say, maybe a couple of thousand years ago. And its roots go back to the time the officials who were being elected officials during different dynasties had to take the test. And that was based on the person's knowledge, not their stature, not where they were born, but about their knowledge and how they could help benefit the country as a whole. So the Gaokao has deep, deep roots, and you can now a little bit understand why does the whole country live and breathe for these couple of most important days every single calendar year. So inside of Chinese history and culture, you can see that this idea that the merit and talent outweighs the family and the surname that you carry has been deeply ingrained through centuries. Today, we can see where China has gone since the times of 1977 until now, what has been the progress of society. And I would argue that one of the reasons for that was their education system and the way they dedicate themselves to education and educating children for the better tomorrow. So, Gaokao is a national examination, but the playing field is not all that even. Not everybody gets the same opportunity. So if you were born in Henan, which is China's most populous province, you have about 0.84% of chance of getting into the top 10 universities. While if you were born as a Beijing resident and you were schooled and your hukou is from Beijing, you have a whole 6% chance, which is almost 7 times more. So there are these differences here where your points and your scores and the place where you live kind of also dictate your success rate. And the biggest problem with the hukou is that a lot of people have migrated into cities and they moved from the counties and smaller parts of the provinces into the bigger cities. But if their hukou is still listed inside of that province where they came from, they have to go back to take the exam there And their scores are not going to be calculated based on where they live now or where they were educated now, but based on the province that they actually belong to. So, not to say that this system is perfect, you have to see that it does have its own drawbacks as well. You know, I've talked a lot about the numbers and the statistics and what Gaokao actually is. But if you would like to know how it feels, you should see the movie called Better Days, because that movie is going to give you a glimpse into how the system works, how much pressure there is, and what children and families go through year after year after year. Not that this is the case for every single person, but it shows you one of the more extreme examples of how this pressure creates either diamonds or crushes people under its own weight. So, not everybody was meant to survive swimming down in the Mariana Trench, but the ones that are able to, they turn out to be diamonds of tomorrow. And me, as a foreign observer who just wants to learn things about China, I don't really know how to properly think about it, how to feel it. I can only be an observer of the situation and not judge before what it is. There is one more super interesting thing, and that is the security level of the Gaokao. So people who prepare these exams, like the teachers who are selected, randomly selected to prepare this exam, the people who print these are taken to remote destinations, which are like secret military places where nobody knows where they are, what they're doing. They only have landlines to talk to their families to say that they're okay, that they're alive, and they stay there until the exam is done. This is done in top secret. You have to have like the highest classification of secrecy in China in order to know what it's going to be in the Gaokao. And then on the day of the exam, there is caravans of trucks and being followed by SWAT teams, satellites, motion sensors, AI, everything is kind of tracking where the exams are going. And if you are a student, when everybody goes inside, in order to prevent cheating and like different things from happening which are not above the line, now there is AI systems, facial recognition, fingerprinting. Like there is a whole set of things following to make sure that everything goes according to the plan. And even like the biggest AI providers such as Tencent, Alibaba, and even ByteDance, during the days of Gaokao, they shut down their AI photo recognition tools so people could not take pictures and cheat during the exam. And I mean, it goes even further. Just to mention that cheating on the Gaokao exam can land you with 7 years of sentence in prison and 3 years of ban of taking any exam, national exam in China. I mean, these things are being taken very, very seriously. And the security level of this is akin to a presidential motorcade being followed through China. But you know, because of such a severity of this whole event and such an impact to the generation, there are other things that are happening. There is no construction work during those days. If there are plane routes being flown over the examination place, they're being rerouted. The police officers are handling the traffic around the venues and coordinating everything. It is an incredible logistical feat to make sure that the children have their peace, that they have the quiet and the ability to focus during this critical time. I mean, it is tremendous to observe how dedicated the whole nation is towards the success of this specific set of days. So, you know, Fort Knox protects gold, CIA protects intelligence, and the Chinese Education Board protects the promise to the 13 million kids that take exam every year that, like, unlike in the past, nobody will be able to steal their number and steal their thunder. For some families, this is the only passage through for many, many people from rural places, from far reaches of China. The Gaokao may be the only way out to the world and to the future, which is brighter than the ones of their own past. Remember, in China, this is not just an exam. It is a promise. It is the decision for this generation, generations after. This is how this country moves forward.